Hello again. I hope you enjoyed the coffee break. Without further ado, let's move on to the inspirational talk. We have a high-level expert for this mission. Andoni Hidalgo Simon is a designer and producer for the Industry Value Chain Cluster at EIT Climate Kick, Europe's leading climate innovation initiative, a knowledge and innovation community working to bridge the gap between climate commitments and current reality. At Climate Kick, Andoni manages the Gipuzkoa Deep Demonstration. He will speak about it more later. He's also an international affairs advisor for the Basque government's urban agenda and an external consultant for UN Habitat, the United Nations Programme for Human Settlement, an expert evaluator for the EU LIFE programme, and a visiting professor at the Universities of Deusto, Barcelona, and Alicante. Txalo bero batekin, jaso dezagun holtzan.
Eskerrik asko, Maitena. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been so far quite an impressive scene and quite an impressive event. So I'd like, first of all, to thank the Basque government and the Basque District for Culture and Creativity and the International District Creativity Cluster for inviting me and for inviting us, Climate Kick. Climate Kick, as Maitena was just saying, is the largest organization in Europe promoting innovation, focusing on climate action. We've been created 15 years ago, and we've been active around 60 countries with more than 400 partners. And we have a workforce of 180 people, innovators in different areas of expertise, working to bridge the gap, as Maitena was saying, between climate theory and climate action, which is very much needed. And today, I'm here to talk to you about this crossroads of climate action, innovation, and creativity. I'm not going to talk to you about the need for greening the ICC sector. This is something that you'll discuss later on in another panel, but about the desperate need of cooperation between the climate innovators and the culture and creativity. And I'll explain you why this is so much needed. Nowadays, we are, let's see if this works. Let's start with this, an exercise. Imagine that you're in front of a group of people and you're pointing the finger at them, blaming them for something, asking them for doing something. Now, look at your own hand. What you will see? You'll see 3 fingers pointing at you. This is something that it's repeated constantly and not very much applied within the climate debate. Because everybody's blaming everything. Everybody's blaming others. Governments don't act. People don't understand. Industries don't care. But yet again, we know that we are in the midst of a climate crisis that will change, if we don't act urgently and very ambitiously, will change the world we live in. So, this is something in which we will come back again, but just to set the scene, to stop the blame game and to focus on those 3 fingers pointing at us that will guide us towards action. Because nowadays, the climate crisis is not anymore understood about evidence-based crisis. Everybody knows what is happening. The scientific evidence is super clear, and this is more than anything a crisis of imagination. For decades, people acting in the climate, on the fight against climate change, we have believed that scientific evidence will be enough. Scientific evidence and the unanimity of the scientific community will be enough to move people to change, to move governments to change, to move industries to change. Clearly, this has been a failure. This is fundamentally a crisis of imagination in which we need to act. And this is why we need you guys. I'm pointing the finger at you, but as well taking into account what we can do for this. Because emissions continue to rise. This is a classic graph shown by the IPCC, the International Panel for Climate Change. And everybody tends to look at the right side of the graph. So which is ahead? Which are the different scenarios that we're having? I invite you to take a look at the left side. Since year 2000, emissions have grown significantly. And they continue to grow and to rise, despite scientific evidence. So that's why we need a different way of doing things. And we need it now. Because the scenarios in here, limiting warming to 1.5 degrees, as the Paris Agreement states, it's already lost. Scientific community is agreeing that we will not preserve the climate change below 1.5 degrees compared to pre-industrial area. We are going to in a scenario in which, at best, we will limit the global warming to 2 degrees. There are many other scenarios which are much more pessimistic. But we are having as well evidence that unintended consequences, tipping points are there, and as we reach them, coming back and reducing emissions with urgency will be useless already, because we will be facing a completely different world. I'm talking about extreme weather, I'm talking about wars, I'm talking about massive population movements, because there will be territories on Earth that will be practically unlivable. And this is the world that we are in course to leave to our children and to our grandchildren. And not even that. 2050 is already around the corner. And there's going to be an increasing aging population. Here in the Basque region, for instance, it's calculated that more than 30% of the population will be 65 or more. Can we imagine this kind of population, which many of us will be? I don't know, but many of us, I see some young people. But can we imagine a scenario in which extreme heat waves, floods, will be affecting us when we are 60, 70 or something? So not a very comfortable place to be here. Okay. Now, yet again, we are facing this reality a bit like Sisyphus. I don't know whether you know Sisyphus. The Sisyphus tale is quite well known. Greeks, by the way, are masters of telling stories. They have been telling stories that have lasted for centuries and centuries, and ways of understanding life, lessons that we preserve for ourselves for ages and ages. And the tale of Sisyphus is a sad one. He was a human, and nobody knows exactly which reason. Homerus does not tell us for exactly which reason. He cheated the gods. He was a very intelligent man, and he tried to cheat the gods. And he did it, but he was caught. And then, obviously, as it happens very often in the Greek mythology, there's a clear message from gods, from Zeus: you don't mess around with the CEO of the Olympus, you'll be punished. And the punishment that this guy got was pushing a rock up a mountain, and in the moment that he was just about setting the rock on the top of the mountain, it will fall down. And so it will have to do this over and over and over again. So I think this is quite a good parallelism for the climate activism. We are trying to convey a message, and when we feel that we are getting there, the rock falls down. So this is a matter of a temptation to fall into despair. But I don't want us to stop in this. I want you now to pay attention to this. This is a graph that we are using in Climate Kicks Strategy 2024-2030, which is called Transformation with Urgency, in which we set the scene of the scenario in which we are walking. We like to be here, there, in what we call the messy middle between current reality and a beautiful, just, climate-resilient world, climate-resilient future. And how we are doing this? Through transformation of whole places and industries, and very importantly, and I will come back to this, through a major mindset shift, which is what we desperately need, and that's why we're asking for your cooperation. We are doing this through projects, working with various levels of governments, as Maitena said before, I am working, for instance, is what we call a deep demonstration, which is a place-based project that we do with local people, with local governments. We are not only acting in Guipúzcoa for the Guipúzcoa deep demonstration, which is a project that we've been carrying on for the past 4 years, in which we linking it with the provincial strategy, etorkizuna eraikiz. We are trying to link climate change action with social transformation and with good governance. We are also acting in some other places of Europe, for instance, in Slovenia. We are working with the Slovenian governments into transforming Slovenia into the first full circular economy on Earth. That's an ambitious challenge. We are also acting with the government of Ireland, for instance, into transforming the agricultural sector and decarbonizing it. And we are managing as well the Net Zero Cities project, which is we are leading the European mission for climate neutral cities. This is 100 European cities and 12 from neighboring countries committing and signing agreements by majors to be climate neutral by 2030. Nobody knows how to do that, but they are working together in order to involve industries, involve NGOs, involve society, involve universities, in order to reach those targets. And we're talking about Madrid, Milan, London, Berlin. So it's this collective will to do things creates this messy middle, and this is the area in which we want to operate. But for that to be really effective, in addition to act with institutions and with people, we need a major mindset shift. How this mindset shift translates into action? I've selected 2 needs and 2 triggers. So, of course, there will be more, but this is what I got in order to transmit today's message to you. The 2 needs that we have are, first of all, interconnections and change of habits. Let's go to interconnections. When we operate, from our experience on working in a place-based projects, nothing is really transformative unless you involve everybody. I'm talking about, it was said before here in the scene, that all cultural and creative industries need to get together in order to have a brighter future in industrial terms, in terms of greening your industry, et cetera, et cetera. But in here, these interconnections, in our opinion, need to be multi-level, multi-stakeholder, and cross-departmental. When we're talking about breaking the silos, obviously, we are working with, for instance, governments, and we are very much insistent on the need of take climate action as a cross-sectoral policy in which every department needs to have a voice and every department needs to communicate with each other. It's about tax, it's about investments, it's about environment, it's about culture, it's about social justice, equity. All sets of policies need to be interrelated. But as well, breaking the silos, that applies to industries as well. I'm working in the industry value chain cluster of Climate Kick, and there we see that many times the private sector as well works in silos very much. Silos is not an exclusiveness of the public sector. And you will see it here, being such a diverse industry of culture and creativity, you will feel as well that sometimes you are working in silos. So these interconnections at all levels are very much needed. And as well, cooperation with other stakeholders. What about cooperation between industries and NGOs? I spent 17 times of my professional career working in Brussels as a lobbyist. It's a very bad word, you know, but it was a positive experience. I was working pushing for obtaining ambitious policies on energy efficiency. That's why my relation with the urban world, I was pushing for ambitious EU legislation on energy efficiency. I remember I was, by the time in 2012, walking through the corridors of the European Parliament, saying crazy things like, we are buying too much gas from Russia. Well, you see. Then, I mean, again, this is something that in which these interconnections and cross-sector cooperation was a very clear example and a very clear sign. We as industry, I was working for an industrial sector, we cooperated with NGOs. And for us, it was a first. I remember my fellow colleagues with the tie having meetings with NGOs, with Brussels-based NGOs, and I mean, there was a cultural clash in there, but we overcame it, and it was a fantastic experience because we achieved quite ambitious pieces of legislations together in order to promote energy efficiency in Europe. So this is to say that cooperation across governments, across departments, across levels of government as well, and across sectors, it's an essential tool that we desperately need. And the other element will be the change of habits. Of course, let's take, for instance, the recycling debate. So it's so difficult to convince every household to recycle or to have this kind of environmentally friendly habits. But we know that in order to be effective on climate action, we need to change habits. This is part of the mindset change that I was mentioning before. So, but that's why I have chosen this image, because nothing has come per se as fallen from the stars. The current habits that we are having, which are very much damaging to the planet, have been made by us. We have chosen to have this. And the transmitter of this kind of habits that we are having now, obviously, this is from the 50s, 60s, we didn't know by then what kind of there was no scientific community unanimity on what this will bring to the planet. But this has been created by tales, by communication, by stories of a brighter future, stories of a better future for the children. So this is something that we can change as well. We did it. So we can undo these things and create new habits. But for that, again, storytelling and your cooperation is key. Now let's go to the triggers. The first that I chose was belonging. I don't know if you have heard about Korrika. Korrika is an event taking place every second year here in the Basque region. I chose a local example. Of course, we are here. Otherwise, I will be blamed not to do so. This is a popular race, not competitive, in which during 11 days and 11 nights, a relay is passed upon between citizens, one after the other. So in here, I've put a circle on that. The first picture you see, dozens of people waiting. You can read 3:16. It's not the kilometer point. It's the time. So it's 3:16 in the morning, because this race does not stop. So to me, this leads to quite an interesting question. What is making these people jogging in the middle of nowhere at 3:16 in the morning? To me, it is because this race, this Korrika, is being organized in order to promote the safeguarding of the Basque language. So this is a sense of belonging. This is what is waking these people up from bed. And this Korrika has been going on for more than 40 years. The first edition was held in 1980. So every second year, this mobilizes hundreds of thousands of people. It was calculated that the last edition in 2024, it mobilized almost 1 million people, all in all through the kilometers. Not all together, obviously. And so this is, to me, is quite an important lesson. So what about taking this belonging as a partner of a climate action? What about making us proud of what we are doing, making us proud of what we belong to by fostering change from the climate perspective? That's an idea that I launched. And the second one is going to be the power of will. But for that, we will come later. I'll come later, and we'll revisit our friend Sisyphus again. But before, I'm going to introduce an exercise that we will develop later on in the Global Challenge, which is the Global Challenge about new narratives about climate change. And this is what we're going to make it with the ones of you that are registered. And we are going to depart from existing narratives in 3 specific areas: what we eat, how we move, and what we wear, affecting very much climate change, and linked very much to day-to-day dynamics from humans, from citizens, okay? So what we're going to do is, departing from an existing narrative, analyze what is beyond the water, the patterns and trends that are underlying this existing narrative. Then, which are the underlying structures? Because it's not only about attitudes or trends, but it's as well the structures, existing structures that sometimes hinder the change. So, and then deep down in the water, we are going to try to extract which mental models are underlying this narrative. And by analyzing all this, we will, through an exercise of collective reflection, we will be divided into small round tables, and through debate, we are going to get up to the surface a new paradigm. And most importantly, how culture and creative industries can contribute to this new paradigm. So it's going to be not just a philosophical debate, but how we can do this together. Of course, we are not going to save the world in one session later on. It's going to be 1 hour and a half. And sometimes we will establish clear new paradigms, clear new stories, sometimes not. But well, I mean, as the song says, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need. I don't know if my time is over, but I think the fact that I'm starting quoting the Rolling Stones, that's a clear sign that I have to stop. So I will stop soon. Let's go back to our friend Sisyphus, because this is too negative. This is too bleaky. This is a painting by Tiziano, which is in the Museo del Prado in Madrid. And the Sisyphus story, and as I mentioned before, is a very sad one. But take a look at this. At this very moment, he's not yet in the mountain. He's taking the first steps. I see a lot of power of will, a lot of rebellion, a lot of dignity in this image. Because despite the fact that Sisyphus knows that the rock will go down, he picks it up again, and he tries, and he goes it again. So this is the last message that I wanted to give. The power of will that, together with the sense of belonging, as a collective, as a humanity, in the choices that we can make, this is one of the most powerful elements that I think we should keep into mind for this. So a brighter future starts by imagining it. So let's go for it, not blaming the others, knowing what we can do as well, fostering interconnections and looking at each other and seeing how we can make things better, not taking the habits that we're having now as something inamovible. Through storytelling, through narratives, we can change this. And we can do it now, and we have to do it now, and we have to do it with urgency. And honestly, I cannot think about a most needed or a most beautiful task. So, guys, let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Eskerrik asko Hidalgo jauna. Thank you very much for sharing your invaluable knowledge and experience. As you mentioned, we need a vision of a future that we want and will fight for. And here we are at CWF24, making that a reality. Mila esker benetan. The circle. Yes, the circle has been a powerful symbol throughout history in various cultures and civilizations. It signifies perfection and wholeness, cycle and renewal, unity and connection. Ibarrola also wanted it to be present in the Oma forest. Would you like to know more? Okay, you are going to wait until Wednesday. I'm sorry. Now we want you to come together and connect. The baton is over to you. I'm going now into flight attendant mode, okay? Please listen carefully. From now until 1:30, the speed meetings you have arranged will be held in room 0A. Okay, you have them. We hope they will flourish and open up unexpected opportunities for you. In parallel, the Global Challenge 1 will be held in room 2 exterior, and the Living Lab in room 0D. All this information is available as well on the app and the screens. You will find them as soon as you leave this room, this space. Remember that after lunch at 2:30, okay, you will board the buses for the itinerary you previously chose. Itinerary 1, the new creative island of Zorrozaurre. Itinerary 2, social innovation in Bilbao la Vieja. Itinerary 3, Bilbao, a cultural and creative city of opportunities. And if you need further clarifications, our team will gladly help you. Another note, please know that as soon as you leave the room, you have a call corner to share information on different international grants. And, oh yes, please, return your translation devices. Yeah? Thank you. Besterik gabe, gozatu dezazuela, bai egun osoaz, eta bihar jarraituko dugu, guzti honen zen.
Well, thank you very much, and tomorrow we'll continue. We will give much more sense to all of these things that we've discussed here today. So thank you very much for your attention. Bye-bye.